Ain't no money like money. It's like Nas said, man. You know Nas?
No, I don't know who Nas is.
Rapper out of NYC.
What did he say?
Said, "Mo money, mo problems."
That was Biggie.
No, that's not Nas and Biggie. Yeah,
They're the same?
yeah. It'd be like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. They're West Coast. Nas and Biggie was East Coast.
I thought Mo Money, Mo Problems was Dr.
No, it's Nas and Puff Daddy.
Puff
He
Daddy.
did.
Anyway.
He did. Now
It's the finale.
we're here.
Week 7 of our Healthy Leader series.
Yeah.
This has been our first series we've ever done.
Yeah.
Week after week after week. Let's do it and let's start this thing.
The idea of made for more is this. We're made for more, and hopefully the last several weeks has helped you. Hopefully you shared it. If you've missed any of them, go back and listen, share them with your friends. Obviously, just as we've hit the last several weeks, the spiritual healthy leader is the foundation. All of these build on that one, so make sure you don't miss that one. But today, the financial healthy leader is crucial because, again,
It's so crucial.
like what I was just saying, Nas, mo money, mo problems.
I was thinking about some stupid stuff I've spent money on.
Yeah.
I've bought some dumb stuff. First of all, I bought a bunch of crypto during the 2020 thing. Well, that hadn't done too well.
No,
So,
the crypto. I never jumped on that.
yeah, I did the Dogecoin thing. I lost a lot of money in that.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, don't do it. And I was like, no, I'm going to be a millionaire one day. Well, I'm further away from that goal for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought a lot of dumb stuff. I remember I used to buy and sell cars to like flip cars. And I bought one that didn't have an engine.
Wow.
And I said, how hard could it be to put an engine in?
put an
I mean,
engine.
like watch a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So I tried to do it. I couldn't figure it out. So I hired a guy who was a heavy alcoholic. And I had to pay the guy in alcohol, like to fix my car. And he wouldn't do it. I'd wake him up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon and he'd be sleeping. And I'd just be like, dude, I need you to fix my car. He's like, well, if you want to go grab me a drink, I'll fix your car. And I don't know if that's very good pastoral wisdom. This is way before Radiant, by the way.
Way before Radiant.
But anyway, I lost a lot of money on that Audi. It landed a lot of stress.
Oh, wow.
So,
dude,
anyway.
yeah, you can't buy and sell cars, man.
No,
Especially as a pastor.
No, I'm out of that business. Out of that business. Now I'm just in the business of winning people for Jesus. That's my goal.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about money.
It. Yeah.
So we talked about the fact that every one of these 6 areas you should measure yourself in. Well, how are you doing spiritually? How are you doing when it comes to your emotions? How are you doing physically? How are you doing mentally? How are you doing in every area of your life? And then it all comes down to this idea of socially, we talked about that last week. And then it all comes down to this financial, like you have a lowest hole in your bucket and you need to figure out what it is and make it better. And what I've found is a lot of young leaders, this is their fail.
Yeah.
Because they are in a credit card Venmo world where you can swipe, you can never see cash, period.
It doesn't feel like real money.
It doesn't feel like real money. We're playing with Monopoly money. And then it's just like we're getting loans. Like I remember the student loan deal. I was getting my master's. It was the first time I got a loan because my parents helped me pay for school, which was a huge blessing. And then whatever else I needed, I had jobs. So I paid for all my undergrad, in cash. Then I go get my master's and I had to get a loan. And I remember the company come back to me and said, oh, we'll give you $5,000 more than your loan. So I wrote them and I was like, but my student bills were only this amount. Wow. They're like, oh, well, you can use the money for whatever.
Hey, man.
I said, take that cash. Let's run with it.
Let's go.
You're never going to have to pay that back. You have to pay that back.
Actually, that's the one thing, right?
So you got it. Money is not real to people today. And so more people are getting in more debt. They're swamped by this thing. And it really doesn't matter in your 20s.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Like you can survive on lots of debt, lots of issues in your 20s.
Yeah.
It matters when you get in your 30s. You want to buy a house. You want to get married. You want to have kids. You want to step out in faith. You want to become a missionary. You want to become a pastor. You want to start a business. You can't.
Yeah.
When you have strapped yourself financially. So there ain't no pain like money pain.
No, it's true.
And so we're going to talk about this because you ain't been stressed like you've been money stressed. And I've been money stressed before.
No,
and it's painful.
True. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think it's one of those things, even on the other side of money, not even just personal finance, but for pastors that are listening, you never want to be the pastor who is getting up on Sunday morning or in a service in the hopes that like you make a certain amount of offering that week.
Oh my
it's
gosh, that's so weird.
So a lot of this even applies to how you steward your church finances. It's like financially healthy leader as a person, as a leader, but also for your organization, which usually translates into, how we lead personally is usually how we lead professionally.
That is very true. And the way God describes it throughout the scripture is this idea of stewardship. And stewardship is the idea of you're taking care of somebody else's stuff.
Yeah.
And when I look at the church, when I look at your business, when I look at the finances in my account, all of it belongs to the Lord. He owns it all. So when you look at this and going, my job is to steward something that is God's, I got to treat it better.
Yeah.
We went on a trip and took our kids to go skiing.
Yeah.
And so we stayed for 3 days at one of our board members' houses. And I've never been more stressed out staying at a house before in my life because I've got 3 of my kids staying in this house that's unbelievable, which happened to be, by the way, totally renovated right before we got there.
It was a beautiful space. Yes.
Beautiful space.
Yeah.
And all I could think about the entire time is my kids are going to destroy this place. They're going to destroy it.
Yeah.
We're going to leave our mark on this place. And I'm stressed out the whole time. And now I don't think you should live stressed all the time, but you should live with that kind of weight of, am I taking care of somebody else's stuff well? And that somebody else is God's stuff well.
Wow.
Stewardship really matters. And how you steward church finances matters so much. I grew up in a church who we were always asking for money, always. And it was so wild because the church had so much money, but they didn't handle it well.
Yeah.
And the church got massive debt, massive free fall, all these issues. And I made a decision and during that time that I said, if God ever gives me a ministry, whether it's a nonprofit, a church, whatever it is, I'm going to steward those finances well.
Yeah.
And praise God
Yes.
for what we have seen happen over the last almost 10 years at Radiant Church. We have seen financial growth every single year, margin every single year. And I think it shows people love to be part of the church because we're never begging.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So,
Well, I know we have some good points.
Yes.
I know you're a preacher, so you have some points on wherever someone is at financially, but especially for those that are listening that are maybe getting started.
yes. Okay. I'm going to give you some of my guardrails that I put up in my life that will just help you with stewardship. And I think this stuff will help you. And so it's choices that you need to make. And so let me give you, there are 4 choices that I think you should make as a good steward. And they're crucial for your life. And the first one is that you got to choose hustle over hoping.
That's really good.
There's a world that just hopes. I hope one day I'm going to win the lottery. I hope I'm going to have a nice house. I hope the business is going to grow. And I'm telling you, you got to have some hustle behind it. I call it Snow White work ethic. You know what Snow White work ethic? Remember how she's standing at the wishing well and she goes, I'm wishing for the one I love to find me today. And that's her life, just standing there wishing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what people do with their life. It's I'm wishing for a new car to find me in my garage. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So move from wishing to working.
Yes.
I'm moving from hoping to hustling. Like, I am not just a dreamer, I'm a doer. And you've got to get to that place of going, I'm going to get some effort behind it. I always tell our church the difference between those who do something and those who don't do something is that those who do something. I know that's like
it's revolutionary.
It's
right?
revolutionary.
Yeah.
But the reality is so many people just are in this world going, I wish it would come to you. I have pastors tell me all the time, like, man, I wish we could do what you guys have done. I'm like, you can. I am not that gifted. I'm not that talented. I am barely a C student growing up. Like, I'm an average preacher.
Yeah.
But I'll tell
You're
you.
a great preacher, yeah.
Well, thank you. I roll up my sleeves and I work hard. And some days it's long hours.
Yeah.
It's early mornings. It's late nights. But
you got to put the reps in. Yeah.
Put the reps in.
Yeah. It's like,
dude. Yeah. So it's just important. Now I'm all about rhythms. I'm all about rest. Take a day off. But I find it interesting, by the way, that the Sabbath thing sometimes bothers me. I'm all about the Sabbath. But can I just tell you, the Sabbath the Bible says it very clearly in Exodus. You work 6 days and you take a Sabbath.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
this 3-day work day, 3-day work week, I'm going to come in at 10. I'm going to clock out at 2. And I need a Sabbath on the weekend. I'm like, work 6 full days and you get a Sabbath.
Well, and I know, and I'd love to hear you expound on some of this, because we have some guys that aren't believers, but they've really challenged. Hopefully I'm not saying we subscribe to the Elon Musk, to the Bezos, but it's challenging. It's in a previous episode you talked about apologetics of like some other faiths that really like knew their stuff. So Christians, now we should have a Sabbath after we work, but I feel like we're being challenged by worldly leaders outperforming us. Now, are they unhealthy to some degree? Maybe there's some unhealth.
Of course they are in a lot of areas, but no unbeliever should ever outwork a Christian because what we're doing matters more than what they're doing. So we are not building a bottom line. We are not building some company. We are not trying to build profit for shareholders.
Yeah.
We are filling heaven, emptying hell.
That's so good.
It matters.
Yeah.
And I just think we get so into daydream world.
Yeah.
And here's the reality. Success will come, but many times it comes and it looks like hard work.
Yeah.
And you got to roll up your sleeves. You got to get it together. And I actually did a whole session to our staff a few weeks ago. We're in one of the greatest seasons of growth we've ever seen in our church. Greatest seasons of life change ever. And I felt like the Lord was challenging me to challenge the staff. We need to make sure we don't take advantage of the wave and coast.
That's so good.
But we got to work hard.
Yeah.
So because we're gonna work hard. Now let me apply this to finance. Finance in this is we're not gonna hope to get out of debt.
Yeah.
We're gonna work to get out of debt. We're not gonna hope to get a raise. We're gonna work and be the best employee in our job. We're gonna do what we can do to make sure that we do our part. If we do our part, God is sure to do his part.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, success happens after really hard work.
It does. And just to make some real practical application for those, especially church leaders that are younger, age is irrelevant, but especially those of you that are younger and in debt. So specifically, if you're a young church leader, you're an intern, or you're in your first staff position, you're single, you don't have any kids. If you have debt, and I know I'm making a gregarious statement here of like, at the risk of sounding like an old guy, an aging guy.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Yes, but if you are single with no kids and you're in debt and you don't have at least 2 jobs, then what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like, I worked, and again, I don't want to be that guy that's like, well, back in my day.
I know. I was walking up the snow both ways. I'm like, you lived in Florida.
Never even seen snow. But it's true. Like, it's like, I'm in debt. I'm single with no kids. You can find me at the local coffee shop at really any time of the day. And I'm buying coffee or buying food or buying shoes or whatever. Man, like work, like just get after it.
It is remarkable when I look back on my life and when I look back on people like you and stuff. I'm like, during those early days, I mean, even into 1 or 2 kids, I mean, we're hustling this thing.
Yeah.
Like the principle of work is not a product of the fall. I want you to hear that. Like,
That's good.
People think like, oh, I have to have a job because of Adam's sin. Adam had a job before the fall.
Wow.
So work is not a product of the fall. So you might think your boss is, but your job is not. So you've got to recognize that work is something. It's actually biblical that even when we get to heaven, we're going to be given jobs. You might not know that, but it's actually seen like throughout eternity, we're going to be given responsibility and jobs throughout heaven. It's awesome because we're created to contribute. So you've got to keep this as part of your life. I challenge all of especially our young leaders who are, have got college debt or credit card debt.
Yeah.
I'm like, go work late at night. Go pick up a side gig. Go deliver Uber Eats. Take that money.
Yes.
Hustle your way in those seasons because life is only going to get busier.
Yes.
And it's only harder the older you get. So do it now.
Yes.
And so here's your action item. Your action item is work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard. Bible says all hard work brings profit. That's Proverbs 14:23. How much of it brings profit? All. So you can have profit in your life. You just got to work hard. And Make it happen in your life. So
Yeah.
you want a promotion? Don't out hope them, out hustle them.
Yes.
Hustle your way into that. Your boss will notice, people notice, and you'll get paid more.
Yeah.
You'll become a valuable part of your company. You'll get paid more, and you'll get yourself in a good financial situation.
Yes, and not to harp on this, but I know we're in our current society, the quiet quitting, the people moving jobs more randomly, and kind of having all these demands even at an entry level position. So if you're a young leader, like, become promotable.
Very good.
Don't work after you're promoted. And I think that's the thing. It's like the entitlement issue is, and again, we're all susceptible to entitlement, right? But I think it's a big issue that we've got to get over. Like, we're not entitled to this. Like, we've got to work hard. So
we have to work hard. In every job, I'm telling you, God gave me a grace for my jobs. I remember every job, I loved my jobs. My wife laughs at me all the time. She's like, that's a Burke thing. She's like, y'all always loved your jobs. I mean, I was a banquet worker, doing all the table and bus work, and I loved my jobs. I had a grace for it, and I just felt like it was worship unto the Lord when I worked in such a way that I'm not working for an earthly master. I'm working for the Lord. I'm going to hustle. And by the way, guess who got promoted? By the way, guess who got the best shifts working at Sonny's Barbecue? Good. I worked there. When I did my best, God blessed me. So choose hustle over hoping. Here's your second one. Choose a plan over passion.
That's good.
Now, we so many times live by our passions. And I'm like, why did you make that financial decision? And they always say the same thing. It felt good.
Yeah, it felt
If it was a fun thing, like you bought those shoes, it felt good. I went on that trip, it felt good. Why'd you buy that boat? Oh, it felt good. Why were you hanging out with your friends going on another weekend trip when you're trying to pay off debt? Well, it felt good. I wanted to have a good time. Make solid decisions that are based on a plan over passions. One of my mentors says, you always make decisions based off principle, not pressure.
That's really
what
good.
A great phrase right there. So I'm not going to live by the pressure of like, oh man, my friends are obligating me, or I'm pressured based off of what the world is saying. No, I have a principle. I have a plan, and I'm going to live by that plan.
That's so good. And I think the idea that we are moved so to and fro because, in past episodes, what we talked about, information overload, all the things, so much of this builds on each other throughout this entire season, is that we will, and again, maybe this is, some personalities are more susceptible to this than others, but even those that make a plan can easily be derailed by a friend like, hey, come on, man. Like, of course we're going to.
I'm telling you would get out of debt if you'd stop listening to all your friends trying to get you to hang out. Which, by the way, most of those friends that are trying to get you to hang out are all broke. Can I just be honest with you? Like, they're all broke anyway, and they're trying to keep you broke also. So don't make passion purchases, make planned purchases.
That's so good.
So I used to put a principle in place. I mean, especially when, like, I was early days youth pastor, broke as a joke. But I would make a decision like, oh, if it's over a certain amount, I'm going to wait a day.
Yeah.
If it's over $100, I'm going to wait a day. If it's over $1,000, I'm going to wait a week or two. If it's over $5,000, if I'm going to buy a car or buy, some major expense, then I'm going to wait a month. I'm going to wait on it. And it's shocking how many of your decisions you stop spending the money because no longer is it a passion, and you're going, oh, I didn't really need that thing in the first place. Because haven't we all had that moment where we bought it and you thought you had to have it, and as soon as you bought it, you were like, dang it, I just blew it.
Yes.
And you got to make planned decisions and planned purchases instead of passion ones.
And just while we're on plan over passion, talking to our church leaders for a minute, because I've met a lot of pastors that are now in their late 30s, 40s, approaching their 50s, maybe even into their later years. They haven't planned.
Nope.
And there's no retirement. They've got kids. They've got college coming up, all of that. What would you say to those guys? And our people?
Let me tell you, you are unbelievably doing a disservice to your future by not planning right now. Compound interest is the best friend of the wise. It is the worst enemy of the non-diligent. So compound interest is the best friend of the wise, because you will start at an early age and you'll start investing that $20 a month into your retirement account, and that'll end up being millions of dollars if you do it early. If you start investing that $20 a month when you're 45, you're not going to have any retirement. So I'm challenging you right now, like, be a person that is wise. A foolish person has actually compound interest is their greatest enemy, because what they end up doing, they get in credit card debt. And what happens is you end up, and we'll talk about debt in just a second, you end up buying a couch that you thought would cost you $3,000 and it ended up costing you $8,000 because of interest. So here's your action item. I told you there's going to be an action item for each one. Here's your action item for this. Is just get on a budget.
Get on a budget.
A budget is not a dirty word. I told our church this last week, I talked about stewardship. Budgets help make financial decisions without emotions. So when you make a budget, when you create a budget, you're actually telling your money where to go. And so I actually told him, I said, stop blaming the fact that you can't go out with your friends on money. Blame it on budget. Like, oh, I don't have money for that, or I need to, I don't want to go out with you guys. Just blame it on budget doesn't let me go tonight. Well, whose budget? Budget's my budget. But budget said no. Use budget as that solution to help you make wise financial decisions. If you don't know how to do that, get into a financial peace university. Find a way to connect and get on a budget. I use a 50-30-10, 20 budget. That is crucial for us. So 20% is the debt elimination, savings, investing. That's crucial. You got the 30% is all my wants, all my desires.
Yeah.
And then the 50% is all of my necessities. Now I consider that's my tithe. That's the first 10% goes to God. That's my housing, my transportation, my insurance. Break it into those categories so I know how crucial it is that you spend it that way. But get on a budget.
That is a great action item. And I think get your church on a budget. Like,
very good.
Like church leaders, it's so easy, especially as your church grows. For a lot of you listening, I know your churches are growing and there's high momentum. You're adding staff members. The more staff members you add, that is another person that is swiping that card.
It is
that is
so
spending
much.
that money, that is sending that invoice. And so, again, personally, but also professionally, like, steward what God has given you.
You have to make those decisions based off of a plan, and it has to be a budget. And that budget, especially for a church, let me just harp on this real quick, because it will get out of hand. And what we have realized is the church grows and we see this amazing growth and attendance and all this stuff. And what you don't see is the balloon growth of the finances when it comes to expenses. And if you're not careful, what happens is that expense growth will end up killing all of the momentum in your church. Because now you think that you can afford it until eventually it's going to slow down. Something's going to happen in the economy. Something's going to happen. And you're going to have this overhead that tanks your organization.
Yeah.
Keep your overhead low. There's one crucial thing I learned from Church of the Highlands, Life Church, Elevation, the best churches in America, and it's all the same thing. Keep your overhead low. Why? Because you will feel that passion and just go swipe, 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 and you'll tank the organization. You've got to control spending. All right, let's go to the third one.
Yep,
You ready?
yep.
The third one is you got to choose discipline over debt. And this is so hard because we want to just swipe, but if you're going to be financially healthy, you have got to learn how to choose discipline, to say no. And I know that's really hard, but you've got to say no to things that everybody is trying to buy, that everybody else thinks you should have, so that you can say yes to the greater plan and that God has for your life. So learn to say no.
Yeah, you have to say no. And there's one kind of funny quote that I love by Dave Ramsey. He's like, don't buy the car that you can't afford to impress someone at a red light that you'll never meet.
That is so
And obviously
good.
we're buying cars for other reasons, but the idea of but that's our culture.
Yep.
That is the modern Western world of 2023. We buy things that we don't need, that we can't afford to impress
Yep.
people that we don't even know. And I just think that it's not a cash flow problem. We actually are, I know there's people losing their job with layoffs and everything else, but for the most part, I would say most people have the means of what they need.
Yep.
It's just, they're in debt, they're overextended. And so dialing that in is crucial, again, because God has a plan and God wants to take you to the next level, and financial issues will hold you back. I personally have talked to people that wanted to go on the mission field, but because of their debt, they couldn't do it. Now, a lot of them cleaned it up and they worked it out.
I agree.
Financial issues are actually hindering some people's call.
When we went to ARC, we went to go get our training through ARC before we launched the church. And we sat down with a couple. They did an assessment of our marriage. And the question they asked us is, how much debt do y'all have?
Yeah.
And we had, at that time, very little, if none. We were paying off a student loan, that student loan I talked about earlier. We were paying that off, and I think we were done paying it off. And they would not take on a couple who had too much debt. And I thought about that going, man, if we wouldn't have been diligent in the past, we would never been able to do this.
Wow.
So 2 parts of this when it comes to debt is, first of all, if you don't have the cash in your account, don't swipe for it. And that's been a principle I live by. Like, I'm not going to swipe for it. If I can't pay it off today, then don't buy it today. I'm a big proponent in credit cards. I know Dave Ramsey, if you listen to this, I know you're probably not too happy with me, but I love rewards. I love the perks.
Yeah.
I love it. I take advantage of all the programs. But I don't put it in. By the way, same with our church. Our church will never put someone on the credit card that we don't have the cash in the account to pay for it that day. So now that doesn't mean we have to pay for it that day, but we can.
Yeah.
It's a principle to live by. That's one thing. The second side, here's your action item, is eradicate debt. Be aggressive about eradicating debt from your life. The Bible is very clear. The rich rule over the poor. The borrower is slave to the lender. So you are enslaved. You are controlled when you're under debt. And you're going, I'm not a slave to anybody. Yeah, you are. You're a slave to Toyota. You're a slave to MasterCard. You're a slave to Nordstrom. You got these credit cards out there. They're enslaving your life. So you've got to get out of it.
Yeah.
Romans tells us, let no debt remain outstanding. So don't file chapter 13 or whatever it is and just, I'll erase all the debt and start over. No, be faithful now. Be a man or woman of your word. Pay it off and radically eradicate debt from your life.
Yeah.
It will change your life. So I wrote out a list a while ago of some real practical things that people can do. Because you're like, well, I just don't have any money to pay off debt. Yes, you do. You have more money than you think you have because that Starbucks coffee is costing you some cash. So here's my top 10 list. I'll give it to you in a minute or less. Ready? Start cutting coupons like you can. Publix has a lot of them. Like, you cut some coupons, find them online. Before you buy something online, always Google to figure out if there's a coupon. Buy used clothing. This is great. There's consignment shops or thrift stores. Do that. Take a season to pull it back. Eliminate streaming services. You'd be shocked with the amount of streaming services. The average American right now, I read this the other day, spends $140 a month in streaming services.
That's crazy.
Everybody was all crazy a while ago, but like, I can't believe these people are spending $100 on their cable bill. We're going to cancel that. We're going to go to streaming. Now they're spending more money on streaming.
They are.
So eliminate streaming services. Eat at home. Oh, that's a big, innovative idea. You'll save money eating at home. Pack your lunch. That's a big deal. I know it's hard. It's not fun. Pack a sandwich. By the way, you'll get done eating that food and you'll go, oh, I feel good. I ate this and I saved money.
So good. Yeah.
Cancel your fancy coffee.
Yeah.
And it's not forever, but cancel it for a while you're saving money. Sell your cat. You know, that's a joke. I don't mean that. But you know, get rid of unnecessary things in your life. Order groceries online.
Yes.
Katie and I do this. We order groceries online. And Walmart is amazing at this because Walmart will deliver your groceries and it keeps us from walking through the aisles and going, I got to have this. I got to have this.
That's
I got to have this. Share a car. It's a big one. I tell people, I'm like, sell that car, pay off debt, share a car for a while. And here's the last one is get a side hustle. We already talked about that. Get a side hustle to work the debt out of your life.
Why don't
you want to give us a recap and then I'll give the last one.
Yeah. So big things we talked about for being a financially healthy leader, and that is that we are going to hustle over hoping. You know, the Snow White, we're not going to wish. We're going to have a plan over our passion.
Yep.
Create a budget is the action item there. What we just expounded on, which was discipline over debt. Get rid of the debt. The debt is really it's a handcuff. It's actually hindering what God's doing in your life.
And here's the last one is just choose generosity over greed.
That's good.
Greed will grip our life. And I'm telling you, you can tell someone's life that's just gripped with greed. And I'll tell you, they're not happy.
No.
There's no greater joy than being generous. I was with someone the other day and I said this statement and I was like, I got to figure out how to coin this thing. And it's like, I have never regretted giving money away. Ever in my life.
Wow.
I've never regretted being generous. I've never regretted blessing somebody else or blessing God's kingdom. Ever in my life. There's very few things that I can sit there and go, I've never regretted that. That's one of them. And I'm telling you, you've got to realize as your life is blessed, and I'm telling you, you're going to be listening to Made for More. You're going to get lots of practical advice. Your business is going to go to the next level.
Yeah.
You're going to be prosperous. You're planted in the house of God, and you get yourself on a budget. But when you are blessed, you got to ask yourself this question. And this is the question I ask myself all the time. What is the more for? What's the more for?
That's really good.
So now some of y'all, the more right now is to get out of debt.
Yeah.
I'm all about that. So you're still giving your tithe. You're still honoring God. But some of you can't be as generous as you want to be because you're strapped. Use the more to get out of debt. But once you're out of debt, ask yourself the question, what is the more for? The Bible says the person that is generous will prosper. Whoever refreshes others, themselves will be refreshed. You want to see your life blessed? Use those finances to be a blessing to the world around you. And I'll tell you this, I'm not, is it called batting 300? I don't know what's the top batting? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not perfect yet at this. I'm not always hitting a bullseye. Can we say that way?
Bullseye. There you go.
But I'm getting close. That every time I get blessed financially with something that's outside of my normal pay, every time, I'm getting to close. I'm probably 7 out of 10 right now. I'll ask the Lord and go, what's this more for? Now, sometimes the more is for, hey, I want you to put in your kid's college education, or hey, I want you to go bless your spouse, or a vast majority of the time it is that person's in need. I'll show you. I'll show you someone who's hurting.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, I've never asked for a speaking engagement, an opportunity. I've never pursued anything like that in my life. And I've been more financially blessed in the last 2 months of my life than I've ever been in my entire life. And I think it's because every time I get financially blessed, I ask the Lord,
what's the more for?
What's the more for?
That's a great
and you can't ever outgive God.
That's good.
So as you continue to do that, and I just think it's crazy. God is a really good, God owns all resources, but he's also a good steward of all those resources. And he wants to bless the world. He wants to see his kingdom go throughout the world. And so he's looking for who's going to handle his finances well. And I think he's just sitting there going, who am I going to be able to give this to that's going to actually be a blessing to the world around them?
Very good.
So be a person that you can handle the more. Now, I'm not against the boat. I'm not against buying a nice boat. Go get the beach house.
Yeah.
If that's what the more is for, great.
Awesome.
But just ask God.
Yeah.
And watch how he will direct your life, and you can live a life that's a blessing. So your action item is just find ways to be a blessing to the world around you. Find your ways.
It's really
and
good.
You will be financially healthy when you take the more and you use it for what it's really for, which is to be a blessing to the world around you.
Amen. That's super great.
That's our topic today. So that's our challenge. Get financially healthy. Hey, next season, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah,
you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, and we really appreciate you guys joining us for this whole season of being just the healthiest leader that you could possibly be, to be all that God's called you to be. And it truly is because we're trying to be great leaders. Yep. We're trying to be healthy. And so go back and, listen to some of the episodes. Again, we kind of used it throughout the season, the lowest hole in the bucket. Like, dig into that topic that was your lowest hole. Go back through it. Like, see how you have progressed throughout this journey together. Share it with your friends. Again, thank you so much for subscribing and for joining us. And we believe in you. We're cheering you on because we know you're made for more.